Hello, mate. How are you?
Hey, Daniel, I'm very good, sir. How are you?
Good. I'm ridiculously. Too much information. Ridiculously sweaty. I am minging.
I appreciate the honesty. If we're doing that, I'm very sweaty as well. So
Good. That's all. That's all I wanted to know. Thanks for joining in, bud. See you later.
take care. All the best.
Are you're back in UK now?
I am. I'm back in London, and yeah, just recently got back from Comic Con. So only a couple of days ago, which was wild, but really good fun.
How did you find it? 'Cause that must have been like your first Comic Con.
Yeah, actually, that was. Do you know what? I'd done it one time before, and I'd gone with the Maze Runner crew, which was really fun. But this was, yeah, definitely kind of, I don't know, a different experience. I think just because of the scale of it, and yeah, I wasn't quite sort of prepared for. I think the nature of the reaction to the material that we showed. It was yeah, pretty intense, but really fun as well. We had a blast out there.
I don't want to make this chat about someone else, but the amount of times I've watched that video of Chukwudi walking down as a high evolutionary, like I could act it out moment for moment now. The amount of times I watched it.
He's amazing. First of all, I love Chukwudi so much. Such a great guy, and yeah, the man who put us in touch as well. But yeah, I think that's really what made the presentation so special, is having Chuck come out, in character, in costume, and performing the way that he did. And he's such a phenomenal actor, and he also happens to be an incredible stage actor too, and has so much experience in that world. And I think he brought that kind of gravitas and just sort of natural kind of showmanship that he possesses. He's got such an amazing presence, and everyone just felt that. Everyone was completely spellbound in that room. It's the only time that room was deathly quiet, was when Chukwudi came through and did his thing. So it was a pleasure to watch.
I felt like a proud mum. Like, I just wanted to squeeze his little cheeks. I was so happy for him.
That's amazing. You'll love to hear that.
Well, as you mentioned, he's the one that got us in touch. Like, I feel so bad for him as well, because he just DM'd me. He was like, because I spoke to him and I was like, I'd love to speak to one day, Will Poulter. And he was like, oh, I'll get you guys in touch. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then, God bless him, he DM'd me. He was like, oh, I've actually mentioned it to Will. And he said he'd like to do your show. And ever since then, the poor guy, I've just DM'd him every 6 milliseconds, like, cool, when's it happening? Huh? When's it happening? So I feel so sorry for Chuck.
Oh no, bless, mate. Well, honestly, I think you're great at what you do, and I'm so glad to be doing it. And I'm sorry that it took such a while, but I thought kind of best to do it post Comic-Con, just because I'm constantly sort of running the risk of giving away spoilers, and I live in a constant state of fear around sort of divulging information that could get me killed by Marvel. So I thought better to do it now, but thank you for your patience around it.
So what you're saying is you're willing to tell every spoiler right here, right now. Fair play.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I'll just tell you the whole I'll read the script. Actually, I've got it here. I'll just read it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that there should be pressure on you, but he got me a huge actor on my show. I'm not saying you have to get me like Florence Pugh or Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm not saying it, but you don't want to lose to Chuck, do you?
That's true. There is pressure now. There is pressure.
Good luck. But I'm going to alleviate you of some of your stress, because cheers to you for being an Emmy nominee, bud.
Oh, look at that. Thank you so much. It's bad luck to cheers with water, but I will. We're not clinking, so I think it's okay.
It's what, 2 p.m, and I'm the only one now just drinking. If it makes you feel better, it is just Tesco value. You're missing nothing here. You're missing nothing.
I love it. It's the gesture that counts. Thank you very much.
The worst bit is I don't even like champagne. I just did it for the cheap gag.
Right. Hey, listen. It worked though. It played.
I'll cleanse my throat right now. Yeah. I'm so cheap and nasty. What were you doing when you got the call saying you're Emmy nominated?
This is gonna sound really lame, but I was actually in the gym with a friend of mine.
Lame.
I was, yeah, and we were. He wasn't struggling. He was doing very well. I was struggling through an exercise that I wasn't enjoying very much, so I was quite glad to get a call to be able to kind of take a break. But I had one eye on the Emmy nominations sort of as they were coming through, and I saw that Dopesick had been nominated a number of times, and I was delighted for everyone involved, and that was really, really nice. And then I kind of put my phone away, and then I got a call, and it was my publicist in the US, and I thought she was calling to say, congrats on Dopesick being nominated. So I picked up, kind of breathless and sweaty, and very glad to have the break. And then she said, congratulations on being Emmy nominated. And I said, oh, thanks very much. Very happy for the show. And she said, no, you've been like individually nominated, which was, mental and nothing I kind of ever expected. And quite honestly, I'm just proud to be, associated with that show and to have any kind of part in the sort of telling of that story. And I think that the fact that we have gained this awards recognition is just kind of a lovely bonus on top of what has already been, I think a really kind of rewarding experience and something that's, I feel immensely flattered to have had the opportunity to contribute to. So the awards thing is just a lovely sort of cherry on top,
It must be good to get this recognition as well, because I know a lot of your family are in medicine, they're in the healthcare professions. And now that you've got this Emmy nomination, do you sort of feel like you're on par with them now?
Absolutely not. No, I'm absolutely miles away from sort of achieving anything that would be deemed comparable to what my family have done in their careers, and I remain very, very aware of that. But it was really nice to see kind of my family's sort of reaction to it, and even though that they are kind of actively in the healthcare sector, and they all have, virtually all of them have kind of some sort of medical background or training, this story, because of just how much it was sort of swept under the carpet and how much kind of I think disruption of the truth there was around the narrative of the opioid crisis and the people who were sort of responsible, they didn't know, so it was educational for them. And that was sort of I guess that was quite shocking to a degree, to sort of find out that it was the first time that they were learning about this crisis and the particulars of it.
Well, I've never seen a more Will Poulter project, really, because I know you're so like conscious of like social injustice, social go on, 3 2 1 injustices.
So social injustices.
That's why you're the actor and I'm not.
Listen, mate, I'm like 3 take minimum, so that's totally fair enough. I never get anything on the first or second take.
And that was 3 takes. I'd say we're pretty on par.
There you go.
Bring me my Emmy. Obviously, you're very conscious of those words I just said, and it's a really it's a hard watch. It's quite harrowing to watch it, but it's not all doom and gloom. Let's face it, you're now mates with Michael Keaton. It could be worse.
Right.
How was it working with him? Do you have his phone number? Can you send him Batman memes now? Is that the sort of relationship you have?
Michael was absolutely amazing to me, man. Especially as I think, as you alluded to, because the material was so kind of, I think, intense, and for him, of course, sort of quite personal too. The fact that he kind of extended himself beyond managing the challenge of playing that character to also be so kind of kind and nurturing and supportive of me was something that I could have never expected, but couldn't really appreciate it more. He was just so supportive, and having conversations with Michael about, how much, kind of superhero costumes are sort of a challenge when doing stunts, and him talking about his kind of workout regime when he did Batman and whatnot, that in the sort of green room before we go on and do a panel about Dopesick, that sort of stuff is quite kind of it's definitely sort of pinch yourself stuff, but he was really, really wonderful to me from day one, and still today, and I'm immensely grateful for him.
That's your life, talking to Michael Keaton about Batman.
It's really crazy. I mean, it doesn't feel like my life, but yeah, it is wild. Yeah.
Well, I want to take you back to where it started, School of Comedy, Because I remember watching that, and I already love you. With 10 minutes into this chat, I already love you.
Oh, bless you. Ditto.
But I remember watching it, and I remember thinking, this dude is so talented, and I want to fight him for it.
Oh, I'll punch his face in.
I remember just thinking, you were so good in that, even from then, which is amazing. Did you, when you sort of like came to set, did you guys like have input on sketches, or were they just sort of given to you and you just read them and do them?
So we were really fortunate in that I would say, you know, we actually created the show in a really kind of fun way that I think was probably it was probably quite kind of unconventional for a show. It was unconventional anyway. I mean, like in the sense that we were like young kids doing kind of quite adult material. But the from what I know, the construction of the show was quite unconventional in that there was a fair amount of sort of workshopping and improvisation that gave rise to a lot of the characters and the sort of sketches. And we were really lucky that a woman called Barunko Saundersley, she was our kind of like chief writer, like sort of chief of the writing staff, if you like. And she would sit in on a lot of these kind of improvisations and workshops. And she would basically take, in my case, absolute gibberish and turn it into something that resembled a kind of workable script. And I mean, Barunka really is a genius writer, like fiercely intelligent, and her range is extraordinary. And she kind of certainly, you know, takes the majority of the credit for, you know, I think kind of how that show sort of shaped up, together with Laura Lawson, who was my drama teacher and is the kind of creator of School of Comedy. And I owe my entire career to that woman. And then we were also fortunate enough to have a load of like guest writers come in and do, you know, scripts and write sketches for us. Or, you know, we would kind of sort of take on, you know, their sketches and make them their own. So it was a really fun, creative kind of, it was really like throwing pasta at the wall and seeing if it had cooked yet kind of process. Do you know what I mean? And it was so much fun. I mean, the rehearsals for that were some of the best days of my life.
What I love is this show still has like a bit of a die-hard fan base. So I still think that, I think it was a sketch where you're a man in a van.
Right.
And you're catcalling, and you're really eloquently critiquing how the catcalls were and all that. And it has such a fan base. And I hope you don't mind, I managed to find a fan who knows the show, who loves the show, knows every script. And I got a video message from her. And it's a bit of a question. So if I play that to you, she's, as I said, a huge fan of the show.
Right, yeah.
Would you mind if I just play that to you now?
Go for it, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Legend. Let me just do that now. So here she is. Can you see her?
Oh my God.
She's just a big fan. Right. Let's.
Oh my God, it's Beth Rylance.
Oh, you know her? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, look at you in touch with you. That's great. Well, let me play her question and we'll see what she says.
Hello, William. It's me, your friend Beth Rylance. Remember me? The one that sends you all of the letters? Anyway, I was just coming on to ask you a question that I have been meaning to ask you for quite a while, actually, and it's pretty urgent. So if you could get back to me. The question is, would you rather have an elbow for an anus or an anus for an elbow? So yes, if you could possibly get back to me ASAP, that would be absolutely lekker.
Oh my gosh.
Important stuff. I'm a serious journalist.
You are serious. I respect it, man. That was the loveliest surprise in the world. I love Beth Rylance so much. She's, I mean, honestly, like one of the funniest human beings on this planet, and has given me so many laughs over the years. And doing sketches with Beth was like, it was one of those things where, and I had this with Max Brown as well, you know, and a lot of the School of Comedy tribe, but you know, you look forward to doing sketches with each other, but you also realize it could be a very long day in the office because you might not actually be able to get through it, you know. You might actually end up sort of breaking down in tears, half out of kind of laughter and half out of frustration at the fact that you can't get a take in the can. And yeah, that was very true whenever I was in a scene with Beth.
I mean, what she wanted to know was, would you rather have an anus for an elbow or an elbow for an anus?
Yeah, I mean, this is, the big question that I think we all ask ourselves.
I bet you've been toying with that for years.
Yeah, and it does come up to be honest, it comes up in most interviews I do, so it's not the most original, but I would say, God, anus for an elbow or elbow for an anus. That was actually, bizarre that was on TV, that we actually said that on Channel 4.
Well, the funny thing is, when she sent me it, she was like, I don't know why I asked that question. I just looked at mine and I thought of it. And I was like, she's been looking at her anus while DMing me. This is weird. Oh, right. And then I pieced it together. I thought me and her had some like weird connection. I was like, okay. Ha 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 ha. Block.
Blocked. Beth Rylance blocked. I'm going to go for elbow for an anus, I think. I think that's the more considerate approach, having sort of anuses out on your elbows. That's just probably inconsiderate to the folks around you.
You've got another joint. You're just a little bit more flexible as well. Who doesn't want to be more flexible?
There you go. Exactly right. Yeah.
If anything, Beth, that was a bit too easy, I'd say.
Too easy. Exactly.
Then from that, you go and do the Chronicles of Narnia as well. So you go School of Comedy, Chronicles. I'm not saying I want to fight all of your characters, but Eustace Scrubb, to this, I'm 29 years old and I'm still like, I'd get him in a headlock.
Yeah.
Now, this must have been your first huge, big budget movie. Were there any pinch me moments from working on this?
Oh man, massively. And that really was, a huge kind of transition, I think, for me and my whole family at the time. Like my mum and my sister came with me to Australia and we kind of moved out there. My dad sort of semi-relocated and was doing kind of like a sabbatical out in Sydney, which was sort of a few hours away on the plane. And to have that kind of family support as well was huge in terms of like managing the transition. And then Michael Apted, rest in peace, the director, was incredible to me. The cast, who were very tight knit at that point, and rather like Guardians, it was the third film, and they were all very kind of close, but they welcomed me like, with open arms. Couldn't have made me feel kind of more at home and at ease. And it was crazy, man. I mean, like, I think, the first independent I did was this sort of like small little kind of, $5 million indie in the countryside in the UK. And then, I was on the set of Narnia, which was this like, I don't even know how much, like $150 million, production on a giant ship by the side of the sea in Australia. It was just like the craziest jump. And obviously, I think to be honest, I was probably too young and it all happened in such a whirlwind that I didn't necessarily get too affected by the imposter syndrome that now kind of ruins my life. But I had a blast while I was out there, and couldn't have been sort of better supported through the experience.
Well, you mentioned the cast there. I mean, this is such a coincidence, but I've managed to find another fan of the Chronicles of Narnia.
No way.
This one is just a fan. Don't get too excited. His name is William Moseley.
Oh, no way.
Now, he is a big fan, and I think he's got a question for you, if you wouldn't mind just hearing him out.
Will Poulter is like, he has the strongest legs I've seen on literally anyone. I mean, when you see Will Poulter now, he is absolutely built. I want to know what Will Poulter's leg routine is.
Well, there you have it.
That is so funny. I won't hear this from Will Moseley, who literally runs marathons and is like one of the fittest, most like, he's one of the fittest, healthiest human beings on planet Earth. And I can't run 100 meters before I collapse. That is so funny. He really genuinely runs circles around me in terms of like physical fitness and whatnot. So I don't think I'm in a position to give him any tips, but he's the loveliest dude. I was so sad that I didn't get a chance to sort of do more work with Will. Obviously in the third film, he sort of cameos, but I got a chance to hang out with him when he was in Australia, and I've hung out with him since. Actually, a bunch of us got together for Skander's birthday. Skander, who plays Edmund, and got to hang out with Will, and he's such a sweet person, and that's a hilarious question. I just wasn't expecting that.
It's funny because when I spoke to him, that question lasted probably about 30 minutes because he was just talking about your legs for ages. And I was like, Will, this is lovely. I've got places to go. I can't be hearing about Will Poulter's kneecaps anymore.
That's so funny. Yeah, the irony is he doesn't want my legs. The irony is I've got the knees of an old man. Like, I've got ACL injuries and tendonitis, and I've got all kinds of stuff. So yeah, it's all an illusion. It's false advertising.
I really hope you never get asked about your legs in an interview again, and I'm the only one that's found out your tendons in your knees aren't all that.
Listen, you're the first one so far. I mean, the anus elbow thing always comes up, but the legs thing is genuinely first.
So what we're saying is Jonathan Ross, me.
Yes, basically. Yeah.
Netflix, I spoke to William about this. Netflix are making a Narnia series. And I was wondering, could you see yourself either popping up as like a brief cameo, or I just say, let's do it. Let's have you play Eustace again. But instead of him being like this tiny, weedy little kid, he's just you absolutely ripped. Like, come on, Aslan, let's fucking have him.
That's so funny. I think, I'd heard about that. And I mean, I heard about it literally in the same way that you did, just kind of, I suppose, kind of like online, but I haven't heard anything sort of official or anything more concrete regarding, like, potential of my involvement or whatever. But all I know is I'm so lucky to be associated with Narnia. It's such a kind of well loved and cherished kind of series of books, and the fans are extraordinarily sort of passionate and supportive. So I'll let that play out and let it be what it will be. But the idea of sort of reprising Eustace now is quite funny. And
then you go from the Chronicles of Narnia to We're the Millers, like it's no big deal. I want to ask you again, this is up there with the anus question, probably one of the most difficult questions in your career. Do you now absolutely hate TLC's Waterfalls?
It's funny. Sometimes I do walk into restaurants and bars and the music will suddenly change.
Oh no.
And there'll be like Waterfalls will start playing, and then like you see like people behind the bar or like working there will be like looking over to see if I've clocked, and it's like, no, I clocked. Which is funny. But listen, I mean, I was so honored to even be able to like, sing any kind of part of that. And I think TLC are a legendary group. But I could never obviously do it justice in the way that Left Eye did. But it is funny, like Waterfalls comes up quite a lot, and people do ask me to rap it quite a bit, which I am deeply embarrassed about. I'm deeply embarrassed for having done it in the first place, so sure as hell not going to do it again. But it doesn't stop people asking. Yeah.
Now, I can't express how good you were in that. I mean, everyone was good, like Emma, Jason, Jennifer Aniston. I know you're a big Friends fan. Did it take every fibre in your being not to just quote Friends to her all day?
Dude, I really had to, kind of like sort of put the fanboy under lock and key, because I grew up watching Friends, and me and my sister watched virtually every episode multiple times together. My inner fanboy was something that I had to kind of like definitely hold down. But Jen is one of the sweetest people I've ever worked with. She's so lovely and so kind of arrestingly, I hate saying this, like you'd expect she's abnormal, but she's so normal. She's so like down to earth and cool. And so doing scenes with her was always so fun. And Jason too, the two of them were like wonderful to me throughout the whole experience, and both just so funny. And then you've got like Nick Offerman and Catherine Hahn, who are comedy legends, and their improv is off the scale. Molly Quinn, who was so lovely as well. Rawson, our director, they were all great.
It's funny you mentioned Jason Sudeikis. I think he's going to make it big one day.
We're hoping, yeah.
Fingers crossed. But B, I've managed to find a friend of his, Jason Stathis. I think, rumour has it, I think they play football together. So I was wondering if
It's
you'd answer
amazing.
a question from this person. Again, you probably don't know this person. You'll never see them again.
Right, another random.
Share this one.
Yes.
Let's see what this mystery person to you has to ask you.
Will, I know you're never gonna be a baller like me, but you know, I can pull some strings. So when you gonna join Lasso?
Oh my gosh, it's one of my best friends, Kola Bokinni. That's absolutely wild. I love that dude. We met on a film called War Machine, and became close friends shortly afterwards. And yeah, it's interesting. Jason, when he was sort of casting the show, he was sort of, you know, asking me kind of which actors, you know, I sort of rated in the UK, and, you know, which people, you know, might be kind of right for the show. And I said, listen, I don't know if this dude's on your radar, but there's a kid called Kola Bokinni who's off the chart talented, and also happens to be, and I don't want his head to swell too much, but happens to be a very good footballer as well. Kola had some trials back in the day, West Ham, etc. Anyway, he was already on his radar, was already basically on his way to getting the job, and you know, kind of bowled everyone over. And there's you know, a good reason for it. If you've seen Ted Lasso, you know how good he is in the show, and I've made up for him. And it's lovely that, you know, he's working with so many friends of mine, you know, Jason Sudeikis included.
Could you see a world where you join his world?
I need to work on my football skills a bit. I need to sharpen those up. I need to get these old man knees in better nick before I do that. But hey, listen, I would gladly have that conversation if they were willing to have it with me.
If this happens, I better get 20% now. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, agency fee. Yeah, that's only fair.
Yeah. Oh God, that's being an agent is so easy. Oh, so easy. What do they complain about?
Exactly. Drinking champagne at 2 p.m, closing deals. It's easy. It's easy.
You're making me sound like I have a mental crisis now, right now, Will. It's not every day I drink champagne at 2 p.m, just to clarify.
Right. Okay. No. No judgment. I respect it.
Usually it's just straight vodka.
Right.
I also want to talk about Midsommar because I hope you're like me. I can't watch horror movies for shit. I am so bad with them.
I'm the same.
Weirdly, this is a continuing thread. Mark, I wanted to fight Mark.
Yeah.
I mean, he is, I hope you don't mind me saying, a bit of a douche.
Oh, massively.
How did you channel your inner douche to play Mark?
Yeah, he is. Mark's like a real prick, to be honest. And yeah, it was one of those things where, you know, I think Ari creates genuinely like authentic characters, and I say that because I think he pays really close attention to the sort of psychological makeup of all his characters, so they feel very, very real. You sort of see within every one of his characters a kind of their human history, like their lived experience. And Mark, to me, was a dick and was projecting and was performing precisely because he was so sort of insecure about himself. And you know, he was in many respects very kind of toxic as far as like his sort of presentation of masculinity is concerned. And that was, I think, that made him sort of very deserving of his fate in Midsommar, without getting into kind of like spoiler territory. So yeah, I kind of really enjoyed the opportunity to play that. And you know, it was also actually quite interesting because I too am scared of horror films. I don't watch them. I'm still scared of the dark. I'm turning 30 next year, and I'm like terrified of the dark still. And so the last thing I want to do before I go to bed is watch a horror film. So being in one, I was a little bit worried about how that might affect me. But the funny thing about Mark is he didn't possess kind of really the intelligence to sort of actually join the dots and work out what was going on, and was constantly detracting from all of the horrifying elements. So I never really had to step into that space where I was allowing myself to be scared. I was just like walking around mocking stuff. So that was quite protective, you know, for me. Whereas for the other characters who are a little bit sharper and emotionally intelligent and are actually engaging in the kind of, you know, the horrifying things, like Florence Pugh's character, like Jack Rayner, you know, it was potentially a little bit more unnerving. But for me, it was kind of quite a laugh Midsommar, which I know sounds weird, but
yeah, as we said, Mark's an arsehole, but do you want to know who's not an arsehole? This is a great segue.
oh my god,
Florence Pugh.
Florence Pugh is not.
Was that a good link?
That's perfect. She's a legend. She's an elbow, not an arsehole.
Good. Well, there's my clip. I'm just going to post that. Let that happen.
They.
The rest of the interview's gone straight in the bin. This, however, for me, she's one of the best humans on the planet. I've never spoken to her. Hint, hint, Will. Hint, hint. But for me, she is one of the best humans that exists in this world right now. How was she to work with?
Oh man, she's awesome. She really is. Flo's like so incredibly talented, so lovely with it. And you know, I think the way that she chooses to sort of use her platform and her voice is also something I really, really respect, you know, particularly in the wake of all kinds of bullshit she shouldn't have to deal with. She's phenomenal, the way that she sort of carries herself, and I think that really resonates with people. Yeah, she's a legend. I love Flo.
I'm a little bit annoyed I didn't get an invite to Ibiza with you two.
There was a big group of us, but next time,
rub it in. Cool. Yeah.
Next time,
I go on loads of holidays without you.
You get the yeah, no, and that's fine. And listen, that's cool. I know, I'm okay with that. It was Archie Madekwe, who's also in Midsommar. You'll have to take it up with him because he invited us all. So you have to take up with Archie.
That bastard.
Yeah. And good luck fighting him. He's 6'5".
Oh, the camera's deceiving. I'm 9'13".
Oh, are you? My bad. Some would say 10'1".
Don't mess with me. I'm 9'13".
Yeah, sorry. You're dead right.
What is a night out in Ibiza like with you guys? Just let me be a fly on the wall. Is it shots? Is it raving to LMFAO? As you can tell, I don't get out much. I just reference LMFAO.
It was actually a really chilled holiday, if I'm honest. It wasn't crazy. I genuinely don't get out much. So yeah, I was more interested in like the food and the weather more than anything else. Nightclubs terrify me, if I'm honest. So yeah, it was actually very, very chilled and good fun, and nice to link up with some of the Midsommar crew, you know, and yeah, just a sort of, yeah, nice little break.
Did you say it wasn't a wild party trip just so I felt better? No, genuinely, it was like me shoveling paella into my face in the sun most days. That was basically the vibe. You've won me back again. If there's one thing I like, it's eating stupid amounts until I feel sick.
Yeah, sorry, that's what it was.
And then after Midsommar, I think that was your whole filmography. I don't think you've got anything big coming up, which is great.
No, that was it. Sort of retired then.
I mean, Guardians of the Galaxy, Adam Warlock is... I spoke to James Gunn. He said it's one of, if not his favourite character in the entire Marvel universe.
I didn't know that.
Oh, wow.
I do now.
I'm so sorry.
No, I'm glad I know now.
Rip that Band-Aid off.
I'm glad I know now. If I'd known that before heading out, I might not have actually made it on the plane for a panic attack. Was James a little bit extra protective with you? Was he like, please put your fingers down? Adam would never do this. Right. No, do you know what? I mean, James has such a incredibly kind of detailed and thorough understanding of all of the elements. And I kind of have never come across anyone I've worked with who has a more realized and kind of coherent vision for what they're creating. You know, and that's not to criticize anyone else, but he just knows exactly what he wants, and it's amazing to be led by someone like that who's so clear in their vision, but is also not closed off to collaboration or to your ideas or to you improvising or to you throwing things out there. In fact, he encourages all of that, but ultimately he knows what's going to work and how it's all going to piece together. And you know, the job of a director is absolutely mental. You know, like I think people, and fair enough, you know, I guess if you haven't been on a film set, you may well kind of form this idea, but I think people sort of think that like directors kind of sit behind a monitor and they sort of watch the take and call cut, and they might hand over some notes and that's it. I mean, James is across every single element, you know, right down to like, is this color of, you know, costume right for this character in this scene that we're going to be shooting a month from now? You know, he's got to make that decision. The next decision is, oh, by the way, you know, this location for this scene that we're shooting next week just changed. Can you make a decision on, you know, whether the piping and the background of this shot is going to be like, yeah, I mean, like just mental kind of levels of detail. And you know, he sits there just making like decisions every single day about what his baby is going to look like, and to also kind of bear the burden of sort of managing all of the actors' performances, and he knows every single frame. Like he shot lists the whole thing as well, which is so impressive, which I think people know about him. But that also makes it such a incredibly efficient process too. He's amazing. I mean, like he really is kind of, he's a superhero, James Gunn, to be honest.
You know him a lot better than I do, but like straight down, he is one of my favorite directors. Like The Suicide Squad.
Oh yeah,
one of my favorite superhero films. Full stop.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
The fact that he did a live action Scooby-Doo movie, I'm like, and made it great. He's doing a Tom and Jerry movie. I'm like, you can do everything.
Yeah, he's insanely talented, you know. And I think you know, he started the sort of Guardians process kind of like 10 years ago when he sort of like, you know, started pitching the film. And you know, I think he had a lot of kind of, I think, as he said, kind of like difficulties initially, because you know, it wasn't sort of the obvious choice for adaptation, that comic, and he's made it, I think, just one of the most unique, exciting, you know, kind of elements of this Marvel universe. And it's a real kind of credit to his talent and his he's a visionary, James Gunn, for sure.
I know you can't say much. Obviously, this is Marvel. If you say anything, we'll be taken away. Zip wires will come down. They'll take us to a desert island. We'll have to fend for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But can you see a future for Adam Warlock in the world of Marvel?
I really hope so, dude. You know, I don't honestly know what the plan is. I mean, that is hand on heart, you know, the truth. Oh, look at this fly. It's going absolutely nuts. Do I stink? That's proof that I'm sweaty.
I ignored you at that point. You could have said anything and I was just going, oh.
That was mental. Sorry about that. Yeah, hand on heart, don't know the plan, you know, and that is kind of, I mean, the truth, you know, for all of us in the cast, the first time we saw what was debuted, the footage that was debuted at Comic-Con, the first time we all saw that was backstage about 2 minutes before we went on stage. And that kind of just exemplifies the level of sort of like secrecy around all things that, you know, relate to Marvel. I didn't see a script until a couple of weeks before I went on set, long after I sort of like committed to the role or whatever. So genuinely, like, you know, secrecy really is quite kind of a big thing with all things Marvel. I don't know what the plan is, but I'd be honored to play Adam Warlock. You know, again, I really hope I get that chance. I'm desperate to work with James again. I'm desperate to work with all of my castmates. One of the nicest, most welcoming kind of groups I've ever had the pleasure of being in the company of. So I just have my fingers crossed for that.
Well, during this interview, I sort of self-appointed myself as your agent, so I could probably get you on it. Really easy.
Thank you. If you don't mind, that would be great. That would be great.
I'll just drop him an email. It's fine. All you've got to do is just get Florence Pugh on the movie Dweeb.
Yeah. That sounds like a fair trade.
What I find really cool is your schoolmate, George Mackay. He was even considered for the role of Adam Warlock. Now, I know at one point you were considered for his role in 1917. I think that's such a cool little like idea. Would you two ever like text each other like acting tips or how you tackle a character? Would you be like, Adam Warlock, I'd make him flick his hair more and stuff like that? Would you ever discuss that?
I would never dare give George a note, but I'd gladly take one from him. He's George Mackay is you just genuinely happen to be mentioning some of the nicest people on planet Earth. George Mackay is quite famously the nicest man alive, and he's so talented too, you know. And yeah, you know, I mean, there was a little bit in the press made of the fact that George was up for that role, and I was, you know, I've lost out to George more times than I can count, and it's just the sort of nature of the industry really, and belonging to a kind of similar demographic and going up against each other. But honestly, when your friend, you know, gets a role over you, it genuinely is like the nicest thing that can happen, rather than someone you don't know. You know, like it's a really lovely thing when your mate gets a role, and I'm prepared to lose out to George. I think I have to be prepared to lose out to George many more times in the future. So yeah.
It's annoying that you're a nice person, because there's no way I'd have said any of that stuff.
No, I mean, it's like, you know, when it's one of your close mates. And also George was in the original cast of School of Comedy back before it was on TV. So when we were doing it live at Edinburgh Festival, George was in School of Comedy. So we go way back to when we were, you know, like 11 and 12 respectively.
All right. Well, that I suppose I'll let you off then for being actual friends. Because again, if that were me, I'd have elbowed George in the throat.
Anused him. That needs to be in context.
There's another clip.
That sounds very rude. Otherwise, yeah.
I'm gonna go to that bit where I was like, "How was it working with Michael Keaton?" And then just cut to you going, "Anused him."
Oh my God.
Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, would you Adam and Eve it? I've only gone and got a question from a fan. What?
Oh, no way.
We might have mentioned this fella once or twice. So let's see what our boy has to say. Here he is.
Yes.
Let's see what he has to say.
All right, my question is very simple for Will. Why the hell are you so bloody nice? Okay, you're good looking, tall, really muscled, especially since Guardians, talented, everyone loves you. The least you can be is an asshole. So my question is, why are you, on top of all this, also one of the nicest people anyone ever talks about? Sort of like the British Keanu Reeves. That's my question.
Oh my God. That is so, I mean, I don't really know what to say to that. I mean, Chukwudi Iwuji is like an insane talent and such a lovely human being. And actually, all anyone could talk about on the set of Guardians was how lovely he was, is the truth. So coming from him, that is a huge compliment indeed. And I really don't know how do you even, like, you know, if I was sweaty before, I'm like sweating out of embarrassment now. That's very lovely, and I love that dude. I really hope we'll get to work together again on something, because he's the best.
Yeah, if it makes you feel better, when I watched that, I sort of skimmed through it and I was watching it, and it was like, "You're so handsome, you're so muscular," and I was like, "Chuck, bloody hell, son, that's so kind." It was like, "Why is that Will Poulter?" I was like, "Oh, another one, block." Beth Rylance, Chukwudi, blocked. Just give me compliments, okay?
Exactly. Yeah, that is out of order.
And when I spoke to Chuck, I did this with him. So I threw out a theory, and I know obviously Marvel, as I said, you can't say anything. So I just got him to make a noise, any noise that possibly came to his mind, and using my psychology A level, in which I think I got a D, I'm gonna see your facial mannerisms and your vocal range, and deduce what you meant by that. So if you wouldn't mind, I'll just throw a theory to you, and you just make a noise that sums up how you're feeling in that moment.
Okay, got it.
Adam Warlock will be Gamora's love interest in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. You sounded like, do you remember Tim Allen in Home Improvement was like, that's what you sounded like.
I didn't even know this. This is breaking news to me.
That was a theory. It clearly isn't true. I don't need to do the psychological prowess there. bloody hell, I am good. I should be in like interrogation.
Is that's the expectation for volume 3, is it?
Well, that's what some people are speculating, because Adam Warlock and Gamora did have a love interest in some of the comics.
I see.
But you straight up denied it, so I'm kind of under the assumption that is not happening. Good.
It's probably best to assume that, yeah.
If I do find out that's true, I'm coming to Ibiza and I'm knocking your paella out your hand.
Yeah, fair. Just paella flip. Yeah.
No one else. Who the bloody hell was that guy? I once told him that Adam Warlock wasn't dating Gamora. Freak. So finally, you've done superhero movies, you've done comedy TV shows, you're Emmy nominated, you've done indies, you've done everything. But there's one thing an actor has to tick off the bucket list, and that is Star Wars. Now, have you ever played the game Jedi Fallen Order?
I haven't. I'm not a big gamer, I've got to be honest.
Right, well then this is going to be right over your head.
Right, okay, great.
There's a character in it called Cal Kestis. He's the main character, he's a Jedi Knight, and a lot of people have been saying that you and him are quite similar, like physically, in your face.
Okay.
Would you ever like to join the world of Star Wars and possibly, be Cal Kestis?
Oh, I definitely would not say no. I mean, I was a huge Star Wars fan as a kid. I can remember wearing like a brown bathrobe and like getting a lightsaber, and like that being kind of, I think I painted like a wrapping paper tube, like the cardboard tube. I painted that neon, and then brown bathrobe, and I was living my Star Wars fantasy for a while then. It was great.
It was weird that only happened last week as well.
Yeah, no, a little bit. And they did not like the tape. They didn't get through to the next round of auditions. But hey, you try, you make do with what you have.
Now, as your agent, what I have to do is get you in Ted Lasso, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 4, and Star Wars. Yeah?
Please, yeah, if possible. That would be great.
That's you know what? I won't even take 20%. I'll do it for free.
Oh my God, you're the best. You're the absolute best. That's why I'm with you.
Oh, for the love of God, I hope your agent doesn't watch this, because all I've done is just slag them off.
That's hilarious.
Dude, honestly, thank you so much. This has been an interview I've been so looking forward to for so long.
Thank you so much. Honestly, I couldn't have enjoyed it more. And I really appreciate all the effort you put in as well to getting those messages. It's so sweet. And thank you for waiting for me. I'm sorry it took a while. I just wanted to make sure that, it was post Comic-Con, but I really appreciate it.
Well, it's a good thing as well, because the messages I had before were just me behind Mars going, "Hello, I'm Beth Rylance. How are you?" So it gave me time to actually get the questions, which was good.
I'm gonna text all the people that appeared in this interview and say thanks to them now.
Oh, bless you. Why didn't you just put me in a WhatsApp group chat? I don't care. Add Florence Pugh.
Add Florence. Done. Consider it done. I'll put Keaton in there and all.
Nah, you're all right. I don't need him.
Oh, no. Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Dude, thank you so much. I'm now going to have a shower because, honestly, I'm so sweaty. It's disgusting.
I'm going to do the same thing.
Thank you. And then I'll just put my bathrobe on, pretend I'm a Jedi Knight. Perfect.
Oh, live your dream.
Again, thank you so much, mate. I've absolutely loved this.
Thank you. I've loved it too. Thanks a lot.
Going to go pour this down the drain. Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.